Explain ways a customer would physically respond to service failures. What are the three ways in which a customer would respond to service failures? Number one, what are the three ways in which an individual would respond to service failures? Either voicing out, exiting, or loyalty. So a customer may either choose to leave the establishment without expressing their dissatisfaction. The customer may either express satisfaction by complaining there and then, or a customer may remain loyal to service, especially if it's a one-time mistake. Are we together? Second question is explain the concept of service recovery paradox. Service recovery paradox. So this concept is a phenomenon that happens where customers experience a service failure and they receive a prompt satisfactory recovery that may end up having them love the provider even more. It's appointed once, but the service provider clarifies or makes amends so the customer becomes more satisfied and experiences the service even better than at first. So we call this the service recovery paradox. So it occurs because of the effective handling of a failure by the service provider. So the conditions under which this could hold: number one, when there's effective recovery, the service provider will resolve the issue swiftly and satisfactorily. Number two, if there's clear communication where customers will feel their concerns are heard by the provider. And three, customer trust, where the customer believes that genuinely it was an honest mistake. Are we following? Number C, how should service guarantees be designed and what are the benefits of service guarantees above a good complaint handling service recovery system? So why should we choose service guarantees rather than good handling systems? So what are service guarantees? These are promises by a service provider of the expectations of the product that they are offering. They are assurances of some form. So how should these be designed? So here are the ways in which service guarantees must be designed. Number one, with clarity and simplicity. It should be straightforward and easy to understand, where customers should clearly know what is being covered. Number two, commitment to deliver. There should be guarantee to show a strong commitment to quality and promise compensation or recovery. Number three, specificity. The guarantee should specifically state the conditions under which the guarantee applies. And the benefits, what benefits of these guarantees over good complaint handling? Many benefits. Number one, proactive assurance. A well-designed service guarantee will offer reassurance, okay, to customers upfront to signal that the business stands behind the service. Number two, preventing disputes. So with a guarantee in place, there will be fewer chances of misunderstandings, as both service and customer provider on clear expectations of the consequences. So to prevent disputes. So the benefits of a good complaint handling is that the benefits that will be usurped from service guarantees, they will prevent what? Disputes. They'll also strengthen customer trust because guarantees will build confidence in the provider's ability to deliver on the promises, potentially reducing the complaints before they arise. Number three, competitive differentiation. So a service guarantee will set the provider apart in the market, showing confidence in quality and enhance customer satisfaction. All right. Question part D. How should compensation be? Review an incident and comment and evaluate the 6 options given below. Comment on each one of them, select the one you recommend, and defend your decision. The shrimp cocktail was half frozen. The waitress apologized and didn't charge me for any of the dinner, was a response of a very satisfied customer about the service recovery he received. Consider the following range of service recovery policies a restaurant chain should set to try to establish the implications of each of the policy. Option number 1, smile and apologize. Defrost prawn the cocktail, retain it and smile and apologize against. Option 2, smile and apologize. Replace the prawn cocktail with a new one. Smile and apologize again. Option 3, smile, apologize, replace the prawn cocktail and offer a tree coffee or dessert. Number 4, smile and apologize, replace prawn cocktail and waive the bill of 8 of the entire meal. Option number 5, smile, apologize, replace the cocktail prawn, waive the bill for the entire dinner, and offer a free bottle of champagne. Option number 6, smile, apologize, replace a prawn cocktail, waive the bill for the dinner, offer a free bottle of champagne, and give a voucher valid for another dinner to be redeemed within 3 months. Okay, this just reminds me of an incident when I made order for breakfast at one of our resorts in Dollar. So, unknown to me, the chef was not available. So, thinking they're preparing my meal, I was offered a free coffee in the morning, and I was wondering whether I would be charged for that or not. Unknown to me, later it was disclosed that the chef was not in, and they gave me a complimentary meal whilst waiting. So this is one of the service delivery options that they have at that establishment. Now, look at this incidents we've looked at. The shrimp cocktail was half frozen, so the waitress apologized and didn't charge me for my dinner. That was a response that was given by the satisfied customer about the service received. So we reviewed the 6 options, option 1, option 2, option 3, up to option 6. So we need to review each of these ones and give a recommendation of the 6 that will be both in favor of the company and in favor of the customer. So let's look at option number 1, which said which said smile and apologize. Okay, saying smile and apologize, defrost the prawn cocktail, retain it, smile and apologize again. So this option is a bare minimum. It may not be sufficient to truly address the customer's satisfaction. So it shows an attempt to fix a problem, but they leave the customer still feeling that the issue wasn't appreciated. So the evaluation to that one is that this approach is more basic, inadequate, and possibly may lead to customer feeling like the issue wasn't taken seriously. The second option, smile, apologize, replace the prawn cocktail with a new one, smile and apologize again. So this one slightly is better than the first response of replacing the dish, but it shows an effort of making things right. Rather, it lacks an extra value of gesture and goodwill to make the recovery more meaningful. So our evaluation on this one is that it may be acceptable, but still does not go enough to offer significant compensation. Let's go to the third option. Third option in this case, so this will be also based on your view on the analysis, and you give your recommendations. So option number 3, which says smile, apologize, replace the prawn cocktail, and offer a free coffee or dessert. So this one, you offer a dessert as value, which demonstrates a thoughtful recovery, showing that the restaurant values customer business. This option goes beyond the first 2. It's a good option, but may still leave the customer feeling appreciated, especially that they'll enjoy something free. The fourth one, smile, apologize, replace the cocktail, and waive the bill of $80 for the entire meal. So this waiving of as a commitment of satisfaction and significant compensation for the mistake. So it's a generous gesture. It's an excellent option, particularly with high value customers. So it shows that the restaurant is willing to make significant amends. And option number 5, smile and apologize, replace the cocktail, waive the bill, and offer a bottle of champagne. It's very generous. Free champagne is luxurious gesture. Waiving the bill also demonstrates that you're making commitments, right? But I think this option is overstepping. Imagine how many people would want to deliberately um, complain. All right, so let's go and review the remaining two. So this one is a good gesture when looking at it from the perspective of the customers. 5, smile and apologize. Replace the prawn cocktail, waive the bill, dinner, and offer a bottle of champagne. So this response is luxurious, it demonstrates restaurant's commitment to the situation, is very generous, might be seen as overcompensation, okay? And the value could be more than what they are paying. The other one, so would go for option number 4 from this. And what we're just trying to get to is to analyze, according to you, what would be both in the interest of the customer and the company. So of these options, we can say option number 4, which says smile and apologize, replace the prawn cocktail and waive a bill of 8 for the entire bill. So the justification is that there's a balance of generosity and profitability. Here it addresses the issue of comprehensively waiving a certain portion of the bill, but showing commitment to the customer that they should not go. So to leave the customer very satisfied and also demonstrates that the restaurant values what their business and not offering excessive compensation. So we may feel um, our comment with that. So let's go to the next question in section B, where you're asked to answer any what? Any two. Section B, you're asked to answer any two. Okay. What do these questions quickly? Section B. Okay. So think of a particular service um, organization for which you believe physical evidence is particularly important in communicating. Can you see my screen? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, it's a bit blurry, but we can see.
Okay. Think of a particular service organization for which you believe physical evidence is particularly important in communicating with satisfying customers. Prepare the text of presentation you would give the manager of the organization to convince them, him or her, of the importance of physical evidence in an organization's marketing strategy. 7 marks. What is emotional labor? How is it different from physical and mental labor? And assume you are the manager of the crew of the front line. So let's start now with the first part. Let's think of an organization which you believe physical evidence is particularly important in communicating and satisfying customers. So prepare the text of your presentation and give to the manager and convince them of the importance of physical evidence in the marketing. So um, why is physical evidence important? What is physical evidence? So physical evidence includes what? The environment in which the service is being delivered. So it may include the reception, may include a hotel, a hospital, etc. So why is physical evidence important in service delivery? So we're trying to recommend to a manager. Anyone? Why is physical? We've had a lot of new businesses that are online now, online shopping. So physical evidence is the environment in which the service is being delivered, like the reception, patient, uniform signages, what we can see. So the importance of physical evidence, it reduces the perceived risk. So if we're dealing with a hospital, we can deal with the hospital. Patients will feel um, vulnerable. Okay, the perceived risk. So patients often feel vulnerable. The cleanliness, professional staff, appearance, modern equipment give an assurance and trust. Secondly, physical evidence reinforces the brand image. So a well-maintained, welcoming facility which reflects professionalism and care is vital for a hospital. It also influences customer experience. So a comfortable waiting area, clear signage, empathetic design, it reduces anxiety. Also, it differentiates the hospitals from others. So physical cues like the logos, the layout of the hospital, the staff behavior, it gives you a memorable experience. If there's one place that most women don't want to go to is a hospital. So physical evidence also encourages a positive word of mouth. So when patients will experience a clean, efficient, and visually appealing environment, they're more likely to recommend services to others. So you can recommend to the manager an audit of physical evidence as marketing across most touch points to ensure that they're consistently reflecting high standards, and also these efforts in the marketing will enhance patient trust. Physical evidence. So you can give an example of that nature, right? So second part of the question being asked, what is emotional labor and how different is it from physical and mental labor? What is emotional labor? Anyone? So we're looking at this part. What is emotional labor? Anyone? And how different is it from physical?
Can I try?
Yes.
Is this the one where you have to act a certain way even though you're not feeling a certain way because of the kind of job that you have?
Yes.
Like for example, yeah, okay.
Very true. So it's a process where employees will manage their emotions to fulfill a certain requirement of their job. You display some emotions that are not genuine. Okay, you smile even if you're upset. You're actually suppressing um some inner emotions. Okay, you're hiding your frustrations in order to meet the expectations of the what? The organization. So it is different from the other types of labor. What is physical labor? And what is mental labor? And what is emotional labor? I love your effort, Musole. You've been reading. This from the previous class also, where I'm able to, we need to have an idea at least. You don't need to be completely out of, so it's different from other types of labor like physical labor because that one involves bodily exertion or manual tasks that include lifting, assembling products. Mental labor involves cognitive effort like problem solving, planning. So it's about the brain. Emotional labor looks at managing personal feelings, emotional suppressions, and influencing customer perceptions. So um, emotional labor is just as has been defined. Right together. I repeat, when you're dealing with emotional labor, you're talking about suppressing um, or regulating your emotions as part of your job, where your emotions should align with the expectations of what? The organization. So you need to keep quiet even when you're not okay. Even when you're not paid by your employer, you need to set a certain surface acting. You fake your expected emotion. You need to act, deep acting in short. All right. So it's different from the others in that physical labor involves bodily effort where you have to perform tasks or procedure like lifting or assembling. Okay. So unlike the differences, unlike physical labor, emotional labor is invisible. Okay. it can be draining. So mental labor has to do with the cognitive mind. It involves intellectual tasks like problem solving, decision making, and analysis, designing a report, coding a software. Okay, so mental labor is more interpersonal dynamics. So emotional labor, I've already explained. Okay, let's go to our next question. So that was about how many marks? 3 marks. So assume you are a manager of a crew of frontline service, and employees in the financial institution assume that these employees work over the phone and they deal with primarily customer requests, questions, and complaints in specific contexts. Okay, so the question is define what is meant by boundary spanning roles and discuss the basic purposes or functions of participants in these roles. Number 2, discuss 2 potential conflicts that your employees may face on their basis of their roles, on the basis of their roles as boundaries, and also discuss how you as supervisor might deal with these conflicts based on what you have learned. Okay. So assume you're a manager of a crew of frontline customer service. Assume these employees work over the phone and that they deal primarily with customer requests and questions and complaints. In this context, define what is meant by boundary spanning roles and discuss the basic purpose. What are boundary spanning roles? And what are the functions of these boundary spanners? So when you're talking about boundary spanning roles, basically these are roles that are performed by employees who operate at the interface within the organization and external entities like customers. So these are boundary spanning roles. So in the context of frontline service agents, boundary spanners represent the organizations to the customers and they relay on customer concerns back to the company. So the functions of boundary spanners is that they communicate a communication conduit. So they transmit information from customers to the organization and vice versa. They are also there to resolve conflicts. So they manage conflicts and resolve issues to maintain what? Customer satisfaction. Also, in relationship building, they foster trust and build positive relationships between the organization and external stakeholders. In terms of representation, the boundary spanners act as face of the organization by shaping a public perception through interactions. Now, what are the 2 possible conflicts that are faced by employees at boundary spanning roles? What are some of the 2 conflicts, potential conflicts? So we have person role conflict and organization client conflict. So what are the person role conflicts? So when dealing with person role conflicts, we are looking at employees here may be required to express emotions or act in a way that they conflict with their true feelings. So they need to be polite or they need to be polite to rude and abusive customers. So this emotional dissonance can lead to stress and burnout. Can somebody explain the organization client conflict? So organization client conflict here, employees may struggle to balance the organization's policies and rules like strict refund policies with customers' expectations or demands. So this may lead to tension and dissatisfaction on either side. Okay. So the third part of the question is how a supervisor might deal with this conflict.
Sorry, Colin, before you go to the next part,
Uh-huh.
a question on the same boundary spanners. Are these specific roles in organizations, or maybe it can just be anyone that facilitates the same?
It can be anyone that facilitates. It's a
Okay.
general term for any roles. We have customer care, we have the guards, we have usually these are operational positions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
So, but C, discuss how you as supervisor might deal with these conflicts based on what you have learned. How a supervisor deal with these conflicts. There are many ways depending on the situation that a supervisor might deal with such conflicts. Number one, training and skill development. So you need to provide training on emotional intelligence. Okay, this is another key aspect that most organizations overlook. Trainings on conflict resolution and communication to help the young employees manage interactions professionally and confidentially. A supportive work environment, you need to create an environment where employees feel supported. Okay, and you need to encourage open communication, which will provide opportunities to debrief or vent difficult calls. So a supportive environment. Usually, some of the environments are usually pro employees. Okay, where even if a customer is right, wrong, they'll support the customers. Also, empowerment or flexibility. You empower employees to make some small decisions like offering a free waiver or discount. So this will resolve some of the issues instead of reaching to management. Clear role expectations. So you need to clearly define the role expectations and boundaries so as to reduce what? Confusion. So employees should know what is expected. And also rotational breaks, debriefing sessions. So you need to schedule regular breaks so that you allow time away from emotional taxing calls. So you conduct a group check where you share experiences as employees so that you reduce emotional burden. So employee assistance programs. So you need to offer counseling or stress management programs that will help employees to cope with what? The emotional strain. So there was in yesterday's class where I was explaining instances where I have had friends who have suffered from stroke because of companies failing to uh, provide policies of employees just having opportunities to avoid this burnout. Okay, so we end with a question here. Review 5 dimensions of service quality and what do they mean in the context of industrial repair? What do they mean in the context of retail bank and educational institution? Okay. So let's review the 5 dimensions of service quality. What are the 5 dimensions of service quality? We use the term what? Acronym. What acronym do we use? Service quality. RATA. What do they stand for? Anyone? This must be at the fingertips of every service quality student. So RATA, reliability, assurance, tangibility, empathy, and what? And the responsiveness. So these are the 5 dimensions that we refer to. All right. So these are the 5 dimensions that we refer to when it comes to service delivery. So RATA, you should remember. So when you're talking about assurance, we are looking at in an insurance company, for instance, assurance in setting it refers to as confidence, the trust that technicians will instill in customers through demonstrating competence. Okay, so you can give an example, for instance, in the retail bank, assurance is reflected in professionalism and knowledge. T for tangibles. So tangibles here are referred to tangibles involve all physical evidence of the service quality. This may include the conditions of the tools, equipment that are used for repairs. So in a retail bank, we're looking at the tangible evidence like materials, the ATMs, okay, the qualities of the brochures. Then E for empathy. Empathy involves what? The repair of staff's ability to understand and respond to the customer's needs. So in a bank, it's shown where staff take time to understand the customer's personal financial situation. So this could involve offering customized solutions. R for responsiveness. Responsiveness here, we're looking at how quickly and effectively the shop will react to customer requests. So in a bank, it means attending to customers quickly. So these are the service dimensions that you need to know. All right, choose that. In the second part, you need to identify gaps. What are the gaps that we know? What are the gaps that are there in service delivery and how can we prevent them? What gaps do we know? There are 5 gaps. Number 1, we use what is called the SafeQ model, which has 5 key gaps. Anyone who can mention any of the gaps that are there? We have the knowledge gap. We have the policy gap. And what gaps do we have? We have the delivery gap.
Customer perception.
Yes, the perception gap, customer perception, and communication gap. So these gaps, the knowledge gap looks at the difference between the expectations and the management's perception. So you need to conduct a regular research and survey to a frontline employee to get this feedback. Then we also have the policy gap. What is involved in the policy gap? Giving you those guides to help you. Okay. So these gaps, when thinking about the knowledge gaps, we're looking at the gap between what the customer expects and what management thinks about the customer's expectations. What causes this gap is the lack of what? The lack of accurate market research, the poor communication with the frontline, put them what? Boundary, and them not listening to customers. So this gap may exist. So to prevent this gap, you need to conduct regular customer satisfaction surveys, focus groups, and also involve the frontline employees to give feedback. The second gap is the policy gap, which is also known as the standards gap. The gap or difference between management's understanding of customers' expectations and the actual service standards. Okay. So the cause of this is if management understands what customer wants, they might not implement it appropriately. So management will know customers dislike waiting, but they don't implement the queuing problem. So prevention, you need to translate into clear, measurable standards. So it involves designers, operations. So you need to clearly review and update the service standards. So we have delivery gap, which is a gap between service standards and actual service delivery. The cause of this is employees may not be untrained, they may be under resourced, they may lack motivation. So delivery gap. So for instance, where a hotel promises a room, that room service will be 30 minutes, but only takes consistently 45 minutes room service. So how do you prevent this? If you're supposed to receive it in 30 minutes, you receive a meal after an hour. So you need to train and empower employees to meet those standards and to ensure that the sufficient staffing, tools, and performance monitoring systems are there. Then the communication gap is the gap between what was promised and the external communication through advertisements and also what is actually being delivered. So the cause of this is over-promising. It may be misleading. Marketing messages may raise unrealistic expectations. So an example is an airline which advertises to be on time, but frequently delays. So how do we prevent this? You need to ensure that marketing aligns with operational capabilities. You need to also encourage honest, transparent communication and avoid exaggeration. The other one is called the service customer's perception gap, which is a gap between what is expected and what is expected and their perceived service experience. So the cause of this one is if the service is delivered as planned, and the customer may feel they didn't meet the expectations due to the miscommunication. So, for instance, a patient receives thorough medication attention, but receives poor care because there was no one who explained the procedures. So, how to prevent this? You need to manage what? Customer expectations through realistic upfront communication. And also you need to provide post-service follow-ups and also encourage real-time feedback. So these are some of the gaps that we have. All right. So now we go to the last part, part C. Part C. In what ways, as a consumer, can you improve productivity for 3 service organizations that you patronize? What distinctive characteristics of each service make some of these actions possible? Okay, so you discover that most of the questions in this course are very applied. You can give an experience of the organization that you've gone to and identify some of the loopholes that you feel may need to be improved. So how can you improve productivity in some of, we will look at maybe the clinic, a restaurant, and online banking. Okay, clinic, a restaurant, without mentioning the actual ones in your exam. You can just generalize them. Okay, so clinics, what would we say about the productivity actions of the consumer? They arrive on time, okay? They bring previous medical records and describe their symptoms clearly. Am I audible? You're too quiet. Are you following?
You're audible.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're talking about consumers. They play a vital role when we talk about enhancing productivity in service organizations by being cooperative. Okay. So we're going to look at how this applies for different service organizations. Let's talk about a hospital. So in terms of productivity action, the customer can improve productivity by arriving on time for appointments, by bringing previous records or test results, and clearly describing the symptoms or medical history being asked. So this is important because it helps healthcare services to have high contact and often time sensitive. When patients are prepared, it will allow doctors to make quicker and more accurate diagnosis and also reduce consultation times to minimize delays in them attending to other patients. For a restaurant, for instance, the customer can contribute efficiently by ordering promptly to avoid unnecessary menu changes. You are there, hungry lion, they're asking, usually they are fast and people are waiting. Okay, you need to provide time, the menu, what you need, and feedback will be given in no time. So this is helpful because it will help restaurants give you customized services with the kitchen. So to be clear and timely and customers to reduce confusion and errors. So in terms of online banking, the productivity actions that can be done is customers can improve productivity by using online platforms to conduct routine transactions. They'll check their balances, they'll resolve their basic queries without physically visiting the bank. Yesterday I had a similar situation with Airtel Money, where we're having to send some money, but this old man could not understand. All right. Then it helps the banking using self-service technology, which is efficient and scalable by leveraging on these tools. So we end here. Thank you so much for your time. Since we're writing on Monday, we'll continue over the weekend and on Sunday. Those that need videos can inbox